morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the worship service of the First Unitarian Church of Hobart. My name is Barb Langle, and I participate in the life of the church by serving on the Board of Trustees, among other things. We are a religious community of people with diverse beliefs and shared values. Our diverse beliefs are expressed in our 6 sources, and our shared values are expressed in our 7 principles. Both can be found online at uua.org. Together, we strive to grow spiritually, build community, and live our values in the world. I have a couple of announcements. One is Sandy and I made a big mistake. Yeah. Well, we forgot all about setting up for the rummage sale when we told the Women's Voters League, that they could have the debate here Monday night. So I'm asking for help. Tuesday morning. Anybody that's got any muscles and can be here to help us. We're not going to be able to do any setting up until Tuesday morning, but we're going to need muscles to pull everything up from downstairs. So see Sandy or me, or she'll be calling you, or I'll be calling you. Hopefully we can get help with that. And don't bring anything else in until Tuesday. We won't be able to pull anything up until then. I think that's it. Today we are celebrating the harvest. We are currently streaming our services online. The joys and sorrows portion of our service, however, is private, and we will take a break from streaming at that time. Other than that, the service will be recorded and be available for future viewing on Facebook, YouTube, and the church website. Please let your Facebook and Twitter friends know that you're attending worship with hashtag First Unitarian Hobart, and please silence your devices. Thank you.
Chalice. The words are in order of service. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We lightly speak of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning, in celebration of the life we share together.
Please now rise and body your spirit for the doxology. The words are on the screen and in your
Please be seated. So each week during our worship service, we have a time to share our joys and sorrows with the rest of the congregation, to offer up whatever has been going on in our hearts, whatever has been lifting us up, whatever has been weighing us down into the space, to bring it into voice, to carry the energy of it together. And so I would invite you to just feel into yourself. What have you brought into this space? What has been weighing you down that you're still feeling in some part of your heart? What has been lifting you up? What are you still feeling in this moment? even as the flame comes into its fullness. So I'm going to come around with the microphone, and I would invite anybody to share a joy or a sorrow that you have on your heart this morning. And I would just invite you to share with us your name when you do that so that we know who you are. So as Barb said earlier, we're having our Celebrate the Harvest worship service this morning. Once again, this year, the sun has come to the midpoint on its journey between its highest and lowest paths in the sky. The days have grown shorter and the nights cooler as the sun moves irrevocably toward the winter solstice. The riot of colors and smells in the summer gardens has quieted down. Now classrooms and football fields are noisy with life. Bears and chipmunks are preparing for hibernation. Wild geese and gray whales are heading south. The crops are harvested for another year. This is the week of the autumn equinox. And so in that spirit, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing the words in your order of service and on the screen to the tune of Holy, Holy, Holy. Please be seated. So this week, as at the vernal earth equinox, everyone on earth experiences the same number of hours of light and darkness. It is time once again to think about our siblings in other countries and continents and hemispheres, our human kin in other time zones and climate zones. It is time once again to remind ourselves that our differences of culture, race, government, and religion do not matter. Our differences in clothing, diet, and lifestyle do not matter. On this day, we have an important common experience. On this week, this equinox week, nature reminds us that we are the same. We depend on the same sun for warmth and light. We rely on the same sky for rainwater, the same earth for food. We breathe the same air. Our differences are superficial compared to this most basic, most vital commonality. We share this dazzling and dangerous natural world. May this sharing unite us. We're going to light candles now in honor of the light that we share with all humankind on this day.
In the name of everyone here, I light this candle for all those who live in Asia and Europe. In a moment I will.
In the name of everyone here, I light this candle for all those who live in Africa, Australia, and Antarctica.
In the name of everyone here, I light this candle for all those who live in South and North America.
In the name of everyone here, I light this candle as a pledge of our promise for peace among all peoples.
The circle of the autumn wreath, right over there, symbolizes the wheel of the year, the complete cycle of the 4 seasons, represented by those 4 candles. It is decorated with the flowers of fall and symbols of the harvest.
We invite you to join in turning the wheel, responding as indicated in your programs. This equinoctial light we share. We turn the wheel, we urge the sun. We turn the wheel of death and birth. We turn the wheel to beckon fall.
Let us celebrate our oneness in song and send this song to every corner of the universe. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in singing Gather the Spirit. Please be seated.
The equinoxes are a time of astronomical equality. All over the earth, in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Americas, we find ancient structures, stone cairns, pyramids, temples, and earthen mounds, whose precise east-west orientation marks the midpoint of the sun's journey, the balance point of light and dark, when neither has the advantage, when all is balanced for the moment. Like a gymnast perfectly extended on parallel bars, or a dancer defying gravity in a leap of longing. Only in silence do we appreciate song. Or as T.S. Eliot reminds us in 4 quartets, only at the still point of the turning world can we have the dance. And there is only the dance. Our dancers today will depict this astronomical equality and the balance point of light and dark.
As the dark waxes and the daylight wanes and the temperature drops, so sometimes do our spirits. Numbered are the days when we can take after-dinner walks, visit on neighbors' porches or stoops, and gather at parks or courts for evening games. The swimming pools are closed, vacation is spent, the garden begins to wilt, some trees begin to yellow. We've left behind the brilliance and heat and extroversion of summer and are set irrevocably on the path to the dark and cold introspection of winter. It is a palpable, poignant reminder that zeniths are short-lived, that every prime is followed by decline, that there must be balance in the universe and in our lives. During this week of equal light and dark, let us acknowledge this need. I invite each of you to respond to the litany we're about to do with the words, "May we find the balance."
In our busy daily lives with demands of work and family,
may we find the balance.
In our pursuit of health, physical, mental, spiritual,
may we find the balance.
In our striving for professional success and our treatment of co-workers,
may we find the balance.
Between our desires and our duties,
may we find the balance.
Between our rights and our responsibilities,
may we find the balance.
In our loving and our letting go,
may we find the balance.
To everything there is a season and a time. This is a reading from Ecclesiastes 3, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born and a time to die. A time to plant and a time to uproot the plant. A time to kill and a time to heal. A time to tear down and a time to build. A time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to be far from embraces, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to be silent and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace.
everything turn, turn, turn. Every season turn, turn. And time for every purpose under heaven. Oh, time to gain the town, you the town, so it's time to run, it's time for peace, oh, time for peace, that's when it's not too late. To everything turn, 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 every season turn, turn. There's time for every purpose under heaven.
As the sun withdrew, our ancient ancestors surely experienced a degree of sadness, even fear, for they depended on it for light and warmth much more directly than we do. Yet in many places, the fall equinox was also a time of harvest. And if the crops were abundant, providing a food supply for the winter as well as grain and seeds for the next spring's planting, then it was also a time for Thanksgiving. But whether the harvesting is done in the late summer and fall, as is our practice, or in spring or even winter, as in some other places, it is always cause for celebration.
At harvest time, the ancient Sumerians expressed their feeling of security by celebrating the marriage of Inanna, the goddess of the storehouse, and Dumuzi, god of vegetation.
The Egyptians dedicated their spring harvest celebration to Min-Horus, whose descendant, the pharaoh, ritually united with his queen in a sacred marriage, mirroring the power of life visible in the fruits of the fields.
The Canaanite festivals began at spring equinox with the barley harvest and continued 2 months later with the wheat harvest. 2 months later still, the grape harvest began and fall equinox marked the end of the agricultural year.
And the ancient Hebrews, like modern Jews, celebrated 3 different holy days at this time of year. Sukkot, which was originally a festival of thanksgiving for the harvest. Rosh Hashanah begins a time of penitence, harvest, and family gatherings for special meals. And Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, observed 10 days later, is a time of fasting, reflection, and ritual prayer that includes communal confession of sins.
The Chinese celebrated the Great Cha at the end of each agricultural year.
For the ancient Greeks, the autumn festival was dedicated to Demeter, goddess of the earth's fruits. Her mysteries at Eleusis were celebrated for 2,000 years. Initiates underwent a ritual purification, relived Persephone's descent into the underworld, and experienced a revelation when viewing a single ear of grain held high in silence.
For the Romans, Ceres was the grain goddess who oversaw the harvest at the beginning of August.
When the carts loaded with sheaves were brought in at harvest home all over the British Isles, special treatment was accorded the last sheaf harvested. It was generally named, sometimes feared, for containing the only remaining spirit of the grain, and almost always treated with respect. Cheered, bowed to, decorated, dressed as a human figure, carried aloft in procession by a harvest queen to church or to a hilltop or to the home of the landowner, where it was displayed in a place of honor until plowing time, when it was mixed with the spring seed. This corn doll, often named Maiden or O Woman, was a symbol of continuity. The maiden grew into the old woman, which then fed the seedling that became the maiden, which ripened into the old woman. They were one, even as Demeter and Persephone were one.
In Latvia, the last sheaf was plaited into a wreath or braid, which was buried at spring sowing. In Poland, the wreath of wheat and rye was made in the shape of a large domed crown, decorated and worn by the harvest queen, who sat atop a beribboned wagon drawn by horses in procession. A similar custom was practiced in the Czech Republic and Slovakia, where the last sheaf was believed to have special powers of healing and fertility. Germany still features a procession of the harvest crown as part of its official holiday on the first Sunday in October.
The grape harvest often receives primary focus in the Mediterranean area. The Festa del Uva, a festival of grapes in Tuscany, and the Fiesta del Vendimia, vintage feast in Spain, are both observed in September. Later in our ritual, we'll join in spirit with people there to celebrate the fruit of the vine.
The Quechua Indians of the Andes Mountains, more commonly known as the Incas, gave thanks to their sun god, Inti, for their wheat, corn, barley, and sugar cane. They sang this song to celebrate the harvest. Please rise.
No, this is just choir.
People of Ghana in Africa called their harvest festival Homowo, hooting at hunger. In eastern Zambia, the February harvest celebration is marked by dance competitions, and no one may partake of the fruits of the harvest until the chief ritually tastes them.
The Inkwala First Fruits Festival serves three purposes in Swaziland: to gain the ancestors' blessing, to strengthen the kinship, and to rejoice in the harvest.
Asian peoples generally celebrate the rice harvest. The people of Sabah in Malaysia believe rice was given to them by their creator god, who sacrificed his only daughter, Humudun, so that her flesh could become rice. They celebrate Pesta Kamatan in her honor.
People in China, Taiwan, Japan, Vietnam, and Korea call their Mid-Autumn festival Moon Festival. Initially a day of thanksgiving for the rice harvest, the focus is now on the gathering of families outdoors, on hilltops when possible, to admire the harvest moon and enjoy a meal that features a sweet delicacy shaped like the moon.
In many Buddhist countries, especially Tibet and Thailand, harvest celebrations include a ritual enactment of an episode from the life of a saintly hero.
In eastern and northern India, the harvesting of the winter crops of rice and wheat is celebrated at Holi, a full moon festival in February or March. It marks the end of the old year and the beginning of the new, and features bonfires and revelry.
The people of Kerala and southwestern India celebrate Onam, a 10-day harvest festival in late August or early September, where they clean and decorate their homes, wear new clothes, and give thanks at the temple. And then they enjoy a family feast, singing and dancing, parades, boat races, fireworks, and dance performances.
In South India, the festival of Pongal, possibly 2,000 years old, lasts for 4 days. People strip their homes of useless things, burn them in a bonfire, and mark the beginning of the new year with kolam, designs made on the floors with a rice paste. In Thanksgiving, they offer Pongal, a sweet rice mixture, to the gods of rain and sun, as well as to the cattle who helped with the harvest.
In Barbados, when the final cart arrives in the mill yard, everyone shouts, "Crop over!" And the last sugar canes are ceremonially delivered. The best cutters are crowned king and queen, and the festival begins.
Alaskans celebrate the harvest of berries and salmon with ritual songs and dances, praying to the spirits who influence their lives and to the souls of animals on whom they depend.
The Cherokee of North America hold their ripe corn festival in September, honoring Mother Earth and thanking Selu, spirit of the corn. The Brush Feast Festival celebrates the gathering of fruits and nuts. And at the Harvest Festival in October, the Nawatikwa, they offer thanks to all creatures who provide for their livelihood and to the sun goddess who divides the year into seasons.
The official Thanksgiving Day in the United States is celebrated on the fourth Thursday in November. Despite its original association with the sharing of a harvest meal by pilgrims and Native Americans, it is late in the year for a harvest festival. Still, it is an occasion for giving thanks for the nourishment of food and family. Please rise as you are able and join us in singing "Give Thanks for the Corn."
Please be seated. Now is the time to look within. For many cultures and religions, the end of the agricultural year is the end of the calendar year, the time to take stock, to examine what has been accomplished over the past year. A time for getting rid of old baggage, for fasting and praying and purifying, a time for new resolve to do better, to be kinder, to love more generously. Let us listen to this poem by Elizabeth Bishop and then take a few minutes to think about where we have been this past year and where we want to go in the coming one. Perhaps if we carefully plant the tears of the past year, they will water the hopes of the coming year.
September rain falls on the house. In the failing light, the old grandmother sits in the kitchen with the child, beside the little marble stove. reading the jokes from the almanac, laughing and talking to hide her tears. She thinks that her equinoctial tears and the rain that heats up the roof of the house were both foretold by the almanac, but only known to a grandmother. The iron kettle sings on the stove. She cuts some bread and says to the child, "It's time for tea now," but the child is watching the tea kettle's small hard tears dance like mad on the hot black stove, the way the rain must dance on the house. Tidying up, the old grandmother hangs up the clever almanac on its string. Bird-like, the almanac hovers half open above the child, hovers above the old grandmother and her teacup full of dark brown tears. She shivers and says she thinks the house feels chilly and puts more wood on the stove. "It was to be," says the marble stove. "I know what I know," says the almanac. With crayons, the child draws a rigid house and a winding pathway. Then the child puts in a man with buttons like tears and shows it proudly to the grandmother, but secretly, while the grandmother busies herself about the stove. The little moons fall down like tears from between the pages of the almanac into the flower bed the child has carefully placed in front of the house. "Time to plant tears," says the almanac. The grandmother sings to the marvelous stove, and the child draws another inscrutable house.
The harvest season is a time to give thanks, not just for our food, but for all the other things and people we need in order to live a meaningful life. Let us offer our litany of gratitude. We invite you to respond to each line with, "We give thanks."
For the miracles of sun and moon and stars.
We give thanks.
For oceans and seas and bays and rivers and lakes and streams.
We give thanks.
For the beauty of the earth in all its seasons, its mountains and valleys, its forests and deserts, and all its vegetation.
We give thanks.
For all the critters of the earth, wild and tame, great and small.
We give thanks.
For the bounty of the harvest and all those who made it possible.
We give thanks.
For life, liberty, education, the right to vote, and the freedom to pursue happiness.
We give thanks.
For the blessing of our families, spouses, significant others, parents, children, brothers, sisters, grandparents, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and cousins.
We give thanks.
For the blessing of good friends, old and new, who support and encourage us.
We give thanks.
For the blessing of kind colleagues and co-workers and neighbors.
We give thanks.
For our teachers and coaches and trainers, our doctors and ministers and therapists, our social workers, firefighters, police officers, and all who care for our bodies, minds, and spirits.
We give thanks.
For all civic leaders who work to make the world a better place.
We give thanks.
For all who serve us with care and kindness.
We give thanks.
For philosophers and scientists, musicians, artists, and poets who enrich our lives.
We give thanks.
For idealists, activists, and all people of courage who inspire us to help others.
We give thanks. We invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing our song that has lyrics in your order of service and also on the screen up here.
hymnals, number 67. 67. Number 67.
Please be seated. So common to harvest festivals all over the world is the sharing of food and drink. With these, while these may differ depending on the place and the crops, the impulse to celebrate by sharing the most basic of all human activities is the same. By eating and drinking, we nourish our bodies. By eating and drinking together, we nourish our spirits.
We invite you to come forward for moon cookies and grape juice. Please, there are two kinds of cookies, nuts and no nuts. So if you would like nuts, be sure to indicate that with a thumbs up. And if you would prefer no nuts, please give the high sign. Nuts, no nuts. After you have returned to your place and all have been served, we will toast one another and share them together.
And we might not have quite enough grape juice to go around, so if you came with somebody, I invite you to share a cup of grape juice. We might not be able to grab that. So I invite you to share the grape juice with somebody that you came with, so that we have enough to go around.
Please come forward. If there's anyone who did not get grape juice, we in fact have plenty.
Or if you need some brought out to you, we're also happy
Yes,
to do that.
we can
Looks like
also
there's a
bring
couple
you
of
some.
folks toward the front who could use some brought to them. So some cookies.
What do you need?
And so it looks like a non-nut cookie and also some grape juice to go over there. I invite folks to take hold of your cookie and just to
in the back.
Take it in your hand and behold the glowing harvest moon. To all who live below, a boon. And then I invite you to respond with the words in your order of service.
We join our Asian kin to take much joy in sharing this mooncake.
And then take a bite of it.
Oh, good. Give me the next line. The harvest of the vine is here, which brings us sweetness and good cheer. And please be careful. I know we're risking our lives to bring grape juice into the sanctuary. Thank you so much.
As many grapes are here made one, we
drink to all who share the sun.
I invite you now to carefully either finish your grape juice or put it carefully somewhere. Rise in body or spirit and join for our final hymn. Please be seated.
Now is the time in our service for our offering. We give to remind ourselves of how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and friendship. We give with the faith that together we have enough. The money in the baskets goes to sustaining the mission of our community. The money in the cups goes to a charity chosen by the Faith in Action Ministry every month. This month, the money from the cups goes to Cal's Angels, which Joan talked about last week. For those not here with us today, There is an online link for both one-time and regular donations. And we have 4 volunteers, looks like we do. For your prayers, your presence, your service, and your gifts, we are truly grateful.
Please rise in body and spirit as we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Thank you all so much. We'd love to join you in there for some snacks and conversation. We won't be having a discussion after the worship service this morning, but we will next week. So I hope to see you then.